in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Yeah, all right. Hey, welcome to Soccer in 60, everybody listening to us on the radio and out there in streaming land. I'm your host, Tiki Tim Golatz, and my fine feathered Philly Furby friend, Philly. How we doing today, Philly?
Fine, feathered, and Furby, so now I'm furry and I'm feathery. Fantastic, Tim. We're going to talk offset when this is done, but Thirsty Thursday is here. Happy Hour is back in session. Glad to be back here with you, the Tiki Man.
Hey, thanks, Philly. Hey, we got a ripping show today, guys. We've got a couple LAFC games. We got a couple LA Galaxy games. We got an awesome interview coming up with Jimmy Nordberg, the general manager of the Empire Strykers out here in Ontario, California. We're going to talk a little ACFC, a little Angel City for us today, and their little weekend game that I'll actually be at. And then we've got a couple of good updates on Orange County as they hit the road versus Tampa Bay and what they're going to look forward to against San Antonio this weekend. Philly, man, great weekend of footy this past week since we last checked in with each other, buddy.
A lot of footy. We're coming up on that congested part of the schedule, and LAFC definitely showed some signs of fatigue as they are just about on the outside of this congested schedule with the All-Star Game and Leagues Cup coming on. I got two games to talk about with Black and Gold. You got two games to talk about with the LA Galaxy. So let's get started. I'm going to kick things off with the weekend's matchup against the reigning, defending MLS Cup champions, the Columbus Crew. The rematch, the highly anticipated MLS game for a couple of reasons. The rematch being one of them, of course. But for LAFC fans and supporters, this would be the homecoming of Diego Rossi and Christian Ramirez. Diego Rossi was a huge part of the club's start. He scored the very first goal in club history, won a golden boot with the Black and Gold, was a big part of that Supporters Shield winning team in 2019. So he came back to an applause, not a ruckus one, but an applause nonetheless. The applause didn't come through because, well, he was part of Columbus's team last year when they beat LAFC at Lower.com Field for their title. Now, this was not a good game for LAFC. Not a good game whatsoever. The three players that they need. What's that?
Manhandled?
Oh, manhandle is one thing. Look, I've seen a lot of MLS throughout my days. I've seen a lot of LAFC games. I've never seen them be manhandled the way they were by Columbus, in particular at home. They had three players to worry about, and all three of those players ended up scoring. Cucho Hernandez, Diego Rossi, Christian Ramirez. These are three individuals that account for almost 60% of Columbus's total offense, and they all scored. It would take 38 minutes for the first goal to be seen, and that wouldn't come by way of the home team. A brilliant buildup ensued. Max Arfson to Cucho, who breaks past Sergi Palencia, sets up a perfect header for Christian Ramirez. I'd hate to say it, folks. Love Christian Ramirez, but when he was on LAFC, he couldn't hit water falling out of a boat. He somehow managed to score against his former club. He did it so successfully as a member of Minnesota, as a member of Houston, playing in the Scottish Premier League with Aberdeen, and now for Columbus, his sixth goal of the season. And things started out in such an eerie fashion, Tim. Ali, the team's mascot, went for a flyabout completely out of BMO Stadium's field perimeter, out on the concourse. The Falconer, Jason Micknook, had to go out and catch her. I believe she's in heat. That's why she went eerie. But not a good first half for LAFC, and quite honestly, not a good game. We shoot on over to the second half, another goal by Columbus, a goal that's going to no doubt show up on a highlight reel to show just how stinking good Cucho Hernandez is. The Crew were connecting on a few passes. Steven Morera hits Cucho a few feet outside of the box in Holy Nantucket. The goal he scored was fabulous. It was an absolute banger. Do yourselves a favor. Go to the highlights of LAFC's game against the Columbus Crew and go to that 56-minute time frame. Cucho Hernandez scored a world-class goal. Shocked the lights out of everybody there, and then they go ahead and do it again in the 60th minute, this time by way of Diego Rossi. Now their top three players have all scored goals. Dumbfounded about how badly LAFC got manhandled. 84th minute, you got a set piece taken by the Romanian boy Alex Matan, and then Christian Ramirez heads in his second of the day. Matan would get another one for the fifth goal. LAFC would not be shut out, Tim. They would end up finding the back of the net by way of Nathan Ordaz, the young kid who's not even old enough to legally drink alcohol, had a nice clean look after a ricochet shot by David Martinez, but LAFC ends up losing worst game in franchise, in club history at BMO, one of the worst losses the club's ever had. Only the fourth time they've allowed 5 goals in a regular season game. It was an ugly game. What did you think?
Yeah, just watching the game the entire way, you could see they were getting outplayed a little bit. They must have been a little bit tired, but they just got smoked. I mean, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just the top three just came out and they were just hair of fire, Mach 3. They were just getting after LAFC and they didn't have a response for it. And like you said, the worst loss in the club history at BMO. So it was just tough. It was a tough game to watch, but you know, you were hoping that they were going to come together at some point late in the game, and they finally did, and they put one on the back of the net to kind of make it a little less awful.
Less awful is probably the nicest way of putting it. It was a mulligan of a game that no doubt was coming at some time. I mean, LAFC was on a 13-game unbeaten streak across all competitions. The loss also ends their 10-game MLS unbeaten streak. And the team within that stretch went 9-0-1, got 28 out of 30 points, and they were absolutely killing their opponents. But in this case, they absolutely got wrecked. What would hurt them is the loss of Sergi Palencia and Jesus David Murillo. They went out with red cards, which would factor into the next game that we're going to be transitioning over into. Just yesterday, less than 24 hours ago, LAFC would take on RSL. RSL, an interesting team, a team on the horizon, coming up in the horizon, one of the best teams in the West and Major League Soccer. It would come with a catch. RSL did beat LAFC early in the season by a score of 3-0 in that snow game. It was a game played in a tundra, game that Major League Soccer probably could have rescheduled. But nonetheless, the players that scored were Colombian, so you know they weren't affected by the weather. 15th regular season meeting between the two sides, with LAFC leading the series 11-3-0. It would be another homecoming for Chicho Arango, or was it? Nope. Chicho gets suspended 4 games for violating the MLS's anti-harassment policy. He said something he should not have said, and as a result, suspended 2 regular season games, 1 Leagues Cup game, and he will not play in the MLS All-Star game, which is taking place here in just a week or so. That being said, going back to what LAFC didn't have, Sergi Palencia and Jesus David Murillo. But their depth in the back, I would say, boded well, or should have boded well, because they had an easier time replacing the defenders they lost versus RSL not having not only Chicho, but Andres Gomez, who's their second leading scorer. But they would have Diego Luna, who is also a fantastic player. All of the action would pretty much occur over the first half. Head coach Pablo Mastroeni has done a tremendous job with RSL. The fact that they're being so successful speaks volumes to his coaching style. But 5 minutes in, Kike Oliveira scores a goal. Fresh off of his run with Uruguay during Copa America, which they ended up finishing off in third place, beating Canada in penalty kicks. A terrible misplayed ball by RSL's keeper, Zach McMath, led to a wide open, easy goal for Kike Oliveira. Not bad. Kid's been gone a month. 5 minutes into the game, he's already on the scoring sheet. But problems would occur right around the 17th minute. LAFC would lose Timothy Tillman due to what we believe may be a hamstring scenario. That's what it looked like. I don't want to confirm or guarantee it. I saw him walking off yesterday. No problem, but we have to wait and see. Tillman did not play in the last game against Columbus because of yellow card accumulation. He left after the 17th minute. Sub in came Kai Kamara, and LAFC just looks disjointed without Timothy Tillman. He's a big part of the reason why they've been so successful. So RSL settled into the game. They found their rhythm, and there was a foul in the 32nd minute committed by Kai Kamara on Alex Catranes, which led to a free kick outside of the box. Brian Vera had a free kick that had the power. It deflected right off of the back heel of Ilie Sanchez, which surprised everybody, most importantly, Hugo Lloris. And there it is, 1-1. LAFC and RSL go to a stalemate. Second half, not a very good exhibition from LAFC. They think they would only have one shot on target. With that draw, LAFC is now 9-1-3 at home in the league. That would end at their next game. It's going to be on the road in Seattle at Lumen, a tough place to play for any team. Saturday, July 20th at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. The last time LAFC went up to Seattle was during the playoffs and their run for the MLS Cup last season. They ended up beating the Sounders at home, which is very tough to do. As a result of their wins, they progressed. And obviously, we know Western Conference champions losing to the Columbus Crew, a team that bashed and battered them this past weekend. Again, I've never seen them play like that. It was a very convincing win and a terrible loss for LAFC. And then after that game against Seattle, which, by the way, Seattle not having an outstanding season, currently in the bottom parts of the playoff bracket. I believe they're in 7th place coming in to this weekend's matchup. But they're always a team that gets hot later on in the season. Then we go into the All-Star break, and then towards the end of this month, the League's Cup, the tournament between MLS teams and Liga MX teams. LAFC's first opponent, Xolos de Tijuana. That'll be a fun one at BMO Stadium. And that rounds up your LAFC recap.
Nice work, Philly. That is fantastic. Yeah, the new kits, man. LAFC, what'd you think of the new kit last night? Those things are sick.
I loved all their black home jerseys. Phenomenal. This might be the best kit outside of their home kits. Phenomenal. The jacket, the kicks, everything. Same can be said about the Galaxy, going back to their roots. These retro collection of kits, I believe 6 teams had them. Miami did too, which is funny because there's no real retro aspect to them. But then again, the same thing can be argued about LAFC. But Galaxy's kits were great. Kansas City Wizards kit was great. Paul Wright, head coach of the Empire Strykers, was featured as part of the marketing campaign for that. He was a member of the Kansas City Wizards. I love the kits, but obviously I'm a little biased. LAFC's had that 70s vibe, a little bit of the Aztecs aesthetic,
yeah, exactly.
If you will. Fire.
I saw that thing and I thought immediately of the LA Aztecs, man. It was all about it. And the Galaxy kit, like you mentioned, getting back to their roots, that Galaxy kit last night was fantastic. We'll jump into the FC Dallas game from over the weekend. And FC Dallas, we talked about it on the show last week. They don't lose at home. All 6 of their wins coming into that game were at home. And guess what? Now they had 7 wins coming out of that. They beat the Galaxy 2-0. And the game winner came early as a great pass up the middle was laid off to Logan Farrington. And Logan just rips one at goalkeeper John McCarthy. And McCarthy does well to get his right leg on this thing, kicks it out into the middle. But unfortunately for the Galaxy, Peter Musa, who has just been a stellar player for FC Dallas, just buries it, makes no mistake, puts it past McCarthy. And, it's 1-0 a little earlier in the game. And FC Dallas keeps playing. The Galaxy played well in this game. They didn't falter too much during this game. They had some very strong attempts on goal, but Farrington comes through again later in the game, makes it 2-0, and the Galaxy go down 2-0 on the road. And it's a tough one because they were playing so well, but they come home. And so let's get into Colorado, which was a much better result for the Galaxy. And if you showed up late to this game, bummer, shame on you. You should get in your seat early. You should turn on the boob tube sooner than later, because here's the deal. All 5 goals were in the first half. Now, the last goal in the first half, I'll get to this in a minute, but it had to be the latest goal in MLS history, because 45 plus 10, holy smokes. But, the Galaxy looked to stay unbeaten at Dignity Sports Health Park. At the Digs, they are phenomenal. Not lost this entire season, collecting points in every game. And 12 minutes in, Diego Fagundes, who has just been stellar when he's in the starting lineup. The Galaxy have only lost 2 games, including that FC Dallas game the other day, the entire season when he's in the starting lineup. And in a sequence where Fagundes takes the 9th pass in a sequence that started well inside the Galaxy half, he takes a beautiful pass and chests it right to himself and buries it past the keeper. Zach Steffen had no chance on this thing. And the best part of this, if you're watching the play develop, Fagundes is probably about 5 or 6 yards outside the 18. He's to the far left of the 18. And the ball is coming through the midfield, and he just is sitting out there lollygagging. And then as soon as he sees the ball to Peck, he immediately takes a dart into the middle, and Peck just drills him with a perfect pass, and he just buries it. Paintsill and Pooch, soon after a Colorado goal that tied it, make it 3-1 within 5 minutes of each other. 37th minute, 41st minute. They're put the G's up 3-1, and it's looking great for the Galaxy. They're playing well. They're really putting it to Colorado, and the Rapids just don't have an answer. Well, as I mentioned a minute ago, between extra time, added time, people going down, the referee decides that there's an extra 10 minutes in that first half. And seriously, at the 45 plus 10 mark, McCarthy, is looking at Cole Bassett, and Cole Bassett just puts one past John McCarthy. Now, the best part of the second half is that McCarthy really, really kept the Galaxy in this game. He makes 5 second half saves. And without McCarthy backstopping these guys, they're going to go down, because the Rapids had very quality chances. The Galaxy had a couple, but they didn't do a whole lot in that second half. And to be able to push the Colorado Rapids to a 3-2 loss for them, and the victory for the Galaxy was fantastic. And so they stay unbeaten at Dignity Sports Health Park, and now they're 8-0-3 at the Digs. And they're playing really, really strong. They go on the road, and it's a little different story. But, with the win, the Galaxy have broken that 3-way tie at the top, and now they sit on top of the Western Division at 46 points, only 4 points behind the Eastern Conference leaders, who have 50 points, between Cincinnati and the other guys, Miami, or I can't think
the other guys, Miami. That's funny.
The Galaxy are 46 points, and they are playing phenomenal. So I think a rush to the Supporters Shield is well within their grasp. Next up for these guys is the Pesky Pine Trees from Portland, the Portland Timbers. The Portland Timbers and the Galaxy always play really tough matches. If you look at the last 3 games, 4 goals for, 4 goals against, 3-3 tie, 0-0 tie, and a 1-1 tie. So you're not going to get a whole lot past these guys. However, they are at home. The Galaxy will play this weekend at Dignity Sports Health Park at 7:45. It's going to be on Apple TV. It's going to be free. So if you can't make it out to the game, which you should anyways, you can catch it on the TV for nothing. Portland, however, they're lighting it up. They're 4-1 in their last 5 games. And to see these guys coming in to the Digs on a 4-1 streak, Man, it's going to be tough because these guys play hard. This season, Portland has 47 yellow cards. So they're not ready. They're not shy about taking a hard foul. And you would think that would relate to a whole lot of red cards. Nope. They only have one red card this entire season. Whereas the Galaxy have got 40 yellows and they're sitting on 3 red cards. So while I think it's going to be a rough and tumble game. What are you thinking, Philly? What are you thinking about this game from the prospect of, goal scoring and nice hard physical game?
The history that the Portland Timbers have, you've got Diego Chara, who's a red card earning machine. I don't recall very many times where I've seen Diego Chara not get penalized for something. So the fact that you mentioned those types of red cards kind of blows my mind. Timbers, like you said, very hot as of late. And it's no surprise considering that they dealt with a coaching change, not just necessarily a personnel change, but a coaching change. They had Giovanni Savarese at the helm for the longest time. In comes Phil Neville from Inter Miami, who didn't have a great run there. Had he hung on for a couple more weeks, who knows? Maybe he would have still been there with the likes of Messi and Busquets and Jordi Alba coming through, but timing wasn't his friend. David Beckham is, but timing wasn't his friend. So he's turned this Portland team around, and they are competing very candidly. So they're never an easy opponent. They're always tough. They're a physical team, as the history goes, and they're a team with a lot of history and a lot of pride. So the series rivalry between Portland and the Galaxy is a long one, and I expect a lot of fireworks and whatnot. But with the way the Galaxy has been playing between the 3 Ps, the triple Ps, Pooch, Paintsill, and Peck, they're tough, man. They're tough in transition. They connect on their passes very well. I've said this time and time again. Their chemistry is outstanding. I do think Galaxy will win at home, but it's not going to be an easy game.
Yeah, and for sure, I don't believe that it's going to be an easy game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's a 1-goal game. I'm with you that the Galaxy come through and take care of the Timbers, who are only 3-6-3 on the road. They're very good at home. But again, like you said, it's very hard to win on the road in this league, as we've seen over the past couple of weekends with the teams. You look at it, and across the league, it's about a 70-75% win ratio for the home team. The rest of it is either, the off chance loss for the home team or a lot of ties, like you just saw in the LAFC game last night. So with that, I think it's going to be a great physical game. I think the Galaxy take care of business. And I think it's going to be a fun one to watch, whether you're in person at the digs where you can still get tickets to this game, or watching it at home where you get, your free cocktail of choice, which is today, water.
Tiki Tim is H2O Tim right now. I'm disappointed. You got the shirt, you've got the branding, you've got the mug, but you're drinking H2O. Come on, man. It's after 4:00. It's happy hour, for Christ's sake.
Well, we are going to get after it a little later on tonight, and especially tomorrow. We're going to go to one of my favorite tiki bars tomorrow, so we'll make up for it. So perfect. And we talk a lot about the Empire Strykers on the show, and we're looking at having Jimmy Nordberg on today, who apparently, from the time I said that he was general manager, has been promoted to executive vice president. So sorry about that, Jimmy. But hey, Billy, let's bring on Jimmy Nordberg.
You make it sound like Ted Lasso. I mean, hot diggity dog, baby. We welcome back friend of the pod, former MASL Coach of the Year and Executive Vice President of the Empire Strykers, Jimmy Nordberg. Jimmy, how the heck are you, man?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you are one of the busiest executive vice presidents in this league. I'm not here to waste your time. Neither is Tiki Tim. Let's get down to it. I have to ask you a question first. Jimmy, does the name Henry Mancini mean anything to you?
That does. Absolutely.
Care to elaborate? Because it's transitioning to my next thought.
What do you want to know? Let's go with your
Henry,
next thought, and I'll get back to you.
All right. Henry Mancini created the song, the theme for the Pink Panther. That. So the reason why I bring that up is because the Empire Strikers recently signed La Pantera Rosa, Genaro Castillo, the league MVP. Shockwaves with this announcement. And Jimmy, given that Castillo was a free agent, I'm sure plenty of teams were after him. At the very least, it seems that Monterrey would have loved to keep him. If you don't mind, can you talk to us a bit about how this deal first popped up on your radar and how we ultimately got it across the finish line?
Well, I think the mission of the Empire Strikers is that, we want to win championships. That's always been our goal from day one. And we want to put a competitive product on the field to where we can get out there and win games. Obviously, the Pink Panther, or Genaro Castillo, as we know him, is one of the best and elite strikers in this league. And we saw he was a free agent. We went after him. We have a superstar of our own in Marco Fabián that befriended him, and he pulls weight. So I think, him going and talking to Genaro about how they can collaborate and grow this league on the turf and off of the turf was a huge building block. I think that Genaro is a visionary, and he understands that at some point his career is going to be over as far as playing, but maybe he could have a career after soccer in this league. But in the meantime, the goal, the mission, the plan is to bring him in and hang up banners. And I think with him and Marco and Justin and Steph, some of these quality players on this roster, I think Coach will have a very viable unit to go out and achieve our goals of winning championships.
Between Genaro Castillo, you got 50 points there, 32 goals, 18 assists. He's coming off of a season where the Monterrey Flash an unbelievable 24-0. You pair him in with Marco Fabián, tied for the Golden Boot race, Golden Boot win with Zach Regger of the Kansas City Comets, and the newcomer of the year. You put him in with an explosive midfielder like Justin Stinson, and what are you looking for from these three? Like, how do you think the chemistry is going to mesh? I mean, this is a very potent attack. We're going to see those Strikers players light up the lamps quite a bit. Talk to us about your excitement level for this.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got a great team going forward. So as we all know, it's all about defending. Also, we got to be able to keep the ball in the back of the net. Last year, we gave up a lot of goals. So we're looking at bringing in some defenders to help that. And we really like our young squad. Coach Paul Wright's done a hell of a job of really developing our young talent with Momo as a defender. I thought Alan Perez and Randy Martinez had great years. So we're looking at those young guys to step into bigger roles. And free agency is not done for the Strikers. We're not finished. We got another one we're landing tomorrow that's going to come out that we're going to announce. And, we got 2 or 3 more big ones we're going after hard, and hopefully by the end of the weekend those deals will be done. But, we have, in my opinion, the best owner in this league, and, he wants to win at all costs. So we are going out there to get the best players, to bring them to lovely Southern California. And, those players are going to trade in their Uggs for some sandals. And we're going to go out and win some championships.
Perfect. Hey, Jimmy, you had mentioned it, some of the younger players taking on a bigger role after, because last season was a rough one for the Strikers. With this radical overhaul, and in your quote in the Castillo announcement, you mentioned wanting to add veteran leadership around him and around the rest of the team. You just teased it a little bit. And we're going to have to wait for the announcement, but you had mentioned keeping the ball out of your net. How do the Strikers continue to keep the ball out of the net? Because we know you're going to put it in the other guy's net.
Right. So the player we're going to announce tomorrow wears gloves. So
nice.
Gloves and Uggs.
So I think Brandon and Brian had terrific years. If I'm being honest, I think there wasn't much they could have done. I don't think we were great in front of them as a unit. But I think a keeper that's been around, somebody that's been in keeper of the year in this league, will be somebody that can set the team up, and with leadership in the back will help everybody else fall into play. And then if we can add one or two strong defenders that are veterans of this league with the right personalities, and can help in the locker room. We are talking to a player that has won some MLS Cups, and bringing that player in as well. So I think when you bring those kind of veteran leaders to come into a locker room and on the field, it can help the chemistry and mold the group, and the mentality changes for the whole group to be able to win games.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's exciting. Obviously, I'd love to hear what you have in mind, but I know you can't express any of those ideas due to confidentiality agreements. So I'll leave it at that. So we should transition into another topic, Jimmy. The Strykers announced this week that they'll be hosting another edition of the indoor soccer rivalry between the U.S. and Mexico, with both countries having men and women's teams representing at Toyota Arena on September 29th. For anyone who's never been to that USA-Mexico indoor match, can you talk to us a little bit about what the fans can expect?
It's electric. Last year was awesome. It was the first year we've ever done the women's game. And I was so proud of our organization to be able to do it, because a lot of times, even speaking to these women athletes, they kind of get looked over. And these girls are talented players. And watching them play through college, and then there's not much else for them to do. And just them, like, watching them play, watching their families cheer them on, watching the other little girls in our community come out and support them, was absolutely electric. And I thought the game was spirited. The game was great talent. And it was fun to watch. I actually became a fan. It was great. I think we had like 3,500 fans in for the women's game, and we had 4,700 in for the men's game. So it was pretty even. But, that rivalry will never die. If it's an indoor game, an 11-a-side game, a checkers match, U.S. versus Mexico is always going to be a great rivalry, no matter how you slice it or dice it. So we got, it's tough for me, because now, am I a Mexico fan? I mean, Genaro and Marco playing together, I'm like, I want to see this. This is our future. So I'm excited about those two playing in that game together. But then also, I want to see what the U.S. looks like, because we're putting together a pretty good roster for that as well on the men's side.
Yeah, dare I say the women's game was far more electric. The guys' game was fun because it ended 6-5, but the women certainly pulled a lot more goals into the back of the net. Look, with tickets ranging from $20 to $50, that's a steal. You can't do anything in this darn part of the world for that kind of a cost. And bearing that in mind, where can people look to buy tickets for this epic matchup?
So the tickets are on Tixer. You can go on to our website. You can get them there, or you can go straight on Tixer.com, and you can buy all the tickets there. We are going to be having the jerseys for sale early, so you can go and place your jersey order early and have it delivered to your house, so that when you come to the game, you can have it customized to have a 33 for Marco, or you could have your own name and number on the back, however you want to do it. But that's going to be an add-on, so you don't have to buy the jersey at the stadium. You can actually have it prior.
That's awesome, Jimmy. It's going to be a great event. Get your tickets early, get your jersey early. Jimmy, hey, for me and Philly, man, we really appreciate you coming on, hanging out with us. Great to have you be a fan of the show.
Love it. You guys are doing a heck of a job. Thank you guys for everything you guys do. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Dig it. Thanks, Jimmy. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
Same to you guys.
Oh, man.
I'm pumped. USA versus Mexico.
Hey,
Strykers are rebuilding. Oh, man, this is sick.
It's awesome. I mean, because that game, it's going to be just amazing. Like you said, the women's game, just electricity in it. Fantastic. And it is just amazing to have that be part of the Southern California soccer event again this season, because it's just going to be amazing to watch that game. Got to be there in person. When you come to an indoor soccer game, just regular season playoff game, whatever it is, just the electricity that's in that building here at Toyota Arena in Ontario is just amazing. For that US-Mexico game, it's going to be incredible to have that be part of the for the event calendar this year.
Yeah, for sure. Just a couple other housekeeping items we just want to recognize for the Strykers. Happy birthday to Mustafa Momo Guy. He's been on the show. And to Harold Hansen, who had his rookie season last year in the MASL with the Empire Strikers. He scored one of the most gorgeous bicycle kicks that you'll ever see. If you head to my Twitter handle or my X handle, DOTB Philly, it's the first thing that I have pinned on there. So happy birthday to the both of them. And for those looking for Empire Strikers season tickets, they're there and they're going to up the amenities. So we hope to see you at Toyota Arena.
Yeah, just fantastic. So with that, let's talk a little Angel City today. We've got our resident Angel City guru, Amanda the Panda Philemon, coming in today. Amanda, welcome. Panda, welcome to the show. Great to have you be part of Soccer in 60 today again.
Hello, guys. It's good to be back. Exciting. Yeah, let's talk about this. Now, we did not have a game. Our last game was July 6th, so no game recaps to go over, but we definitely have some news to cover, so I want to get right into it, and let's just start out the gate with the big news. Angel City is set to become the world's most valuable professional women's sports team after finalizing a landmark new ownership agreement with Walt Disney CEO Bob Iger and his wife Willow Bay. And if you remember back in March, the 4 lead investors for Angel City, Natalie Portman, Kara Nortman, Julie Ehrman, and Alexis Ohanian, they all hired a New York investment bank, Moelis & Company, to help them find a new controlling owner. Well, they did that. They did that in Iger and Bay, who she's the dean of USC Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism, and they are going to become the controlling owners of Angel City in a sale that will value this club at $250 million. Guys, that is huge. This value shatters the $120 million sale for the San Diego Wave back in March. That was a record-breaking price for a National Women's Soccer League team then, and we basically more than doubled that. It's huge. And what they had to say about this was ACFC and these incredible athletes have already had a tremendous impact on the NWSL, women's soccer, and the Los Angeles community. She said, with this investment of resources and capital, we hope to accelerate the growth of the club and the NWSL. The sale, which is pending league approval still, will see Iger and Bay invest an undisclosed amount, of which $50 million will be used as an injection of capital to fund the club's future growth. And then Bay will also serve on the board and have full control of the club's board. And it will continue to include the previous and founding controlling owners, in that of Reddit founder Alexis Ohanian, actress Natalie Portman, entrepreneur Julie Ehrman, and early investor Jillian Barry. One notable name that was left off of that list is that in Kara Nortman. So not really quite sure what all happened behind the scenes. I've read a lot of different threads out there about what possibly could have happened and things, but there was a little contention up top, and I think it was time for them to move on from some things that had been happening in the front office. And if you've been following Angel City, you know that change right now is not a bad thing. It's welcomed by a lot of people. I will say, Bob Iger being the change in that was met with mixed reviews out there. People have very strong opinions about Bob Iger and Willow Bay. I will not get into any of that, but there are some that are happy to see somebody bringing money into this club because they really want to see what's happening on the pitch change, because they've done a lot behind the scenes. They've really elevated what women's soccer stands for and how it's being run, as far as everything behind the scenes and just the culture they're producing and everything. But at the end of the day, they're not winning on the pitch, and the quality of player out there is just not producing outcomes that people want to show up and see. Then, what are we all doing it for? So I hope a lot of people are on board with the fact that this is going to introduce some money into this club that they can use, hopefully, to go out and get some big name players, which right now we are in the summer transfer window. And we have said since the departure of Paige Nielsen and of, some other big name players players that we really need somebody to come into this club. I mean, without Kristen Press, without Junindo when she got hurt, and now Clarice Lebion, which I'm going to get into in just a second, leaving this club, we need somebody to come in. So I think if we don't have some big names announced here very shortly and very soon, I think you're going to see a lot of angry people out there. I mean, a lot of them are already kind of, like wondering, with the sale of this club to, to Bob Iger, our ticket price is going to go up. And there's just a lot of thoughts out there right now. So it's a little chaotic out in the world of socials, but it's exciting nonetheless. One, because of what Angel City is doing and the records that they are shattering. It's pretty impressive. I mean, in 2023, the club generated the highest revenue of any women's team in the world and topped the NWSL in attendance, sponsorship, and total revenue. So not a bad gig for someone like Bob Iger and Willow Bay to jump on. Hopefully they can continue that success and elevate it to a new level. Now, I kind of previewed it in just a little bit, a little teaser about Clarice Lebion. And yes, sadly, we are going to be saying bonjour and then au revoir to her, unfortunately, because they announced Monday that the club and Clarice Lebion have mutually agreed to part ways. Yes, she did originally join in our inaugural season in 2022, so she's been with us since the beginning. She occupied one of the international spots for the past 3 seasons. She was acquired via transfer from Montpellier HSC of Division 1 Feminine in June of 2022. She had 4 goals and 4 assists and 53 match appearances. And during her 2023 regular season, she averaged 44.5 passes per match and landed second in assists for the club, which is kind of interesting to me. She was second in assists for the club, and we really have not seen her play very much for this club this year. I don't know what's going on in practice. I don't know what's going behind the scenes. I never do. That's why speculation on things is kind of a moot point, because we don't really know what's going on. I just know we didn't see her a lot, and we did see her in the previous seasons starting and featuring for a lot of games. So I cannot blame her for wanting to move on. She wants to play. She loves this game and she's a fantastic player. So we definitely wish her all the best. And hopefully we will see her out there somewhere. I don't know if it'll be at another club here in the US or if she wants to go back to Europe and play, but she was a great addition for us. Me and Nina from Angel City Chicks, we had the chance to actually interview her, and we did a little stint for Canal Plus where they came over and talked to us about her, and just a great person. So again, all the best to Clarice Lebion. Hopefully we are going to find somebody who's going to step up into these midfield positions. Now, lastly, what I want to get into is finally a little bit of gameplay. Let's talk about this Saturday, July 20th at 7 p.m. Angel City is going to be hosting Club America Femenil at Cal State Fullerton in the club's first ever NWSL versus Liga MX Femenil Summer Cup match. Now, this game will be streamed in the U.S. on Paramount Plus and internationally on NWSL Plus. This will mark the second time that Angel City has played Club America, and when they faced off during NWSL preseason this last March, ACFC won 3-0. Now, let me tell you just a little bit so you know what to expect about this tournament. This is the first time this is happening. It's going to be NWSL talent versus Liga MX Femenil, and they are going to have it phased out the midseason Challenge Cup. We talked about them getting rid of that, and this is what's in its place. It features 14 NWSL teams as well as 6 Liga MX sides who earned the most combined points in the Clausura and the Apertura of last season. It's going to be Tigres, America, Chivas, Rayados, Pachuca, and Tijuana. And they're going to be into 5 regional groups. Every team is going to play everyone, and Angel City is going to be in Group B. So keep an eye on that. We're going to preview these games as they come along, but the first one will be this Saturday, July 20th. You can catch it on Paramount Plus, as I said before, or head on out, get your tickets, and go to Cal State Fullerton and watch it live. It's going to be exciting. Guys, that's all I got. I tried to get it in as fast as I could and fill that with some interesting information, which, like I said, I think it's a lot of fun stuff, a lot of movements. We've got additions, we've got subtractions, we've got games. Let's see what happens going forward. You guys have any thoughts on any of that I just kind of gave out to you?
I do. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Do you think with the addition of Iger and his wife that a singular voice inside the corporate headquarters, as it were, will be a much better cohesiveness to the team?
Well, there did seem to be a bit of distension in there. And so sometimes, bringing in somebody, a new voice, someone with a new perspective, very business minded that they both are. I think it's going to give them a new perspective on things, maybe help them see things in a little different way. They've been doing things since 2020 when this club was announced the way that they had. So, here we are, almost 4 years into this team. So time for some change, and, fresh eyes with someone with a smart business mind is probably not a bad idea at this point.
Perfect.
The only other thing I wanted to comment on. The only other thing I wanted to comment on is it's very obvious you've been working on your French, because the way you said bonjour and au revoir indicates to me that you're really doing it. So I am proud of you. You're doing it, as opposed to me, who's like Brad Pitt in the movie Inglourious Bastards. Buongiorno.
I try to say it correct, but I guess I do need to now myself say au revoir and merci. So thanks, guys, for having me on. Let's hear about
Panda. It's always fun having you on. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
Perfect. Panda just kills that segment. I love having her on.
Yeah, me too. She's so informed. She's tied to the club. I mean, she does a lot of work on the Angel City Chicks podcast. So, I mean, she knows it better than you and I will ever know it. She's credentialed through the club. It only makes sense that her and Nina Kiefer, for that matter, are on. But let's transition on over to your favorite world, that of the USL.
Yay, Orange County. So we talked about this, one of my favorite road jerseys is that Tampa Bay Rowdies jersey. So Orange County was going into the unfriendly confines out there in Tampa Bay, taking on the Rowdies over the weekend. And a couple of things, Ryan Flood and Ethan Zubak are really connecting. They continue to connect, make that connection, kind of like the guys on the Galaxy are doing. Bryce Jamison is keeping that energy up, trying to keep these guys, get them back on the winning track. And Ben Norris makes this trip. And Ben, was a brand new addition to the team, brand new addition to the starting lineup just in the past week or two. And he makes the trip out to Tampa Bay and he gets the start. And Flood and Zubak, this game starts off. And again, Paul Hardiman has been wanting the team to play a much quicker style of pace, a more pressing style of soccer. And right off the hop, just a couple of minutes in, Flood and Zubak connect, and Flood just takes a ripper of a shot, and keeper for Tampa Bay, Jordan Farr rather, makes a stellar save, and Flood is denied, putting Orange County up 1-0. Just a couple of minutes later, in the 5th minute, though, and Kel Jennings, and a lot of you out there were going to recognize that name. Kel Jennings takes a left-footed shot from the top of the box. It goes through about 3 different defenders, a group of trees, if you will, and it's right on target, right at Colin Shuttler. And unfortunately for Orange County, it goes through Colin's arms and his legs and goes 5-hole on him. And it's 1-0 for the opener, just a couple of minutes in. They're continuing to play hard, and then there's not a soul in the house that understood how that ball went in. But regardless, it's 1-0, and Tampa Bay is continuing to put the heat on Orange County. They're still getting the balls, and then the lightning shows up, and not the guys that play on the ice about 20 miles away, but the storm comes in and delays the game for over an hour. This is really kind of the detriment to Orange County, because they were playing really well. They still come out after this hour and 20-minute storm delay, but the Rowdies are just a little bit quicker on the ball. And not that long after, sorry, I'm freaking out here a little bit. I need some water. Hang on. Not long after the Water.
You're freaking out
It's
because
still water,
you're drinking
Billy.
only water.
That's probably why I'm freaking out. There's Orange County. Jameson takes a really nice pass down the right-hand side and makes a cross. The problem is nobody from Orange County is within 20 yards of this cross. And after a really quick outlet out to the left-hand side, a really nice long ball goes out just inside Orange County's half. And Manuel Arteaga gets his head on it, and he puts it at whose feet? Cal Jennings. Cal Jennings takes races with this ball about 20 yards and beats Shuttler to his right-hand side. And so it's 2-0. And this game could easily have gotten out of control. It could have easily been 4 or 5-0. But Colin Shuttler played really well in this game. But it really was the Arteaga and Jennings show in this game. Early in the second half, this is where some of the youth of Orange County kind of shows its ugly head a little bit. Ben Norris, who had already gotten booked for a yellow card earlier in the game, is trying to make something happen. We all see it. You're hustling hard. You're trying to make a play. You're trying to really, really get your team going. But unfortunately, Ben Norris goes studs up into a Rowdy's defender and gets his second yellow of the game. And real quick opinion piece right here. The best part of him getting the red card is the way he reacted after getting his second yellow. He didn't freak out. He didn't complain. He didn't whine on the referee. He asked a couple of very short questions and then took it like a man and walked off the pitch. So all compliments from this former referee to Ben Norris for taking the red card like you should take a red card. So let's get on to the coming game this weekend. They're playing at the Champ. They're playing in Irvine. So they've got a bunch of really good deals on tickets. So go check them out. They're going to be playing San Antonio FC, and San Antonio is on a bit of a bad streak, which is great because Orange County can get a bit healthy this weekend, we hope. They're 1-6-1 on the road, and in their last 5, they're 1-4. So for Orange County to get healthy against these guys, they're really only going to have to deal with one guy, and that's Juan Agudelo, who leads the team with 7 goals. Nobody else has more than 2 goals. So if Orange County can shut him down, make sure that he's not getting the ball from Jorge Hernandez, who is his main assist cohort, who has 7 assists, 7 helpers on the season. If Orange County can shut those couple of guys down, it's going to be really good for Orange County. And plus it's at the Champ, which Orange County is 4-3-1 at home. So they play a much better brand of football at their home stadium. And if you put, 4,000, 5,500 people for a sellout in the Champ, it's a great place, a great atmosphere. They got a lot of great things going on at the Champ. So go out, check them out. And this could be a really good game. Keeping San Antonio out of the net is going to be just as important as putting it in the net. But with Flood and Zubak getting after it this weekend, it's going to be super fun and a great brand of football this weekend. And that's the Orange County segment. Get out, see the game. They got great prices, great ticket prices, great couple of ticket packages, and go see some really fun soccer this weekend down here in Orange County. And with that, let's get into a little bit of some miscellaneous stuff there, Philly. What are we thinking about? You want to talk a little finish of the Copa America? You want to talk a little bit of the chatterwagon on the U.S. men's national team? What are we thinking today, Philly?
Yeah, let's talk about the U.S. coaching conversation. As we know, Greg Berhalter is no longer at the helm of the United States men's national team. And if there's anything that is united supporters of the U.S. men's national team, it's the hashtag Berhalter out stereo. So this is the first time I think everybody that follows the red, white, and blue are all in it together. But of course, now the arguments ensue with who should run the ship. We've heard Steve Cherundolo of LAFC. We've heard Wilfred Nancy of the Columbus Crew. We've heard so many names. But there's a lot of interesting people that are open to this idea and a lot of interesting possibilities. We know Jurgen Klopp isn't going to be one of the candidates. He straight up refused. But you know who's unemployed as of right now? Gareth Southgate. How about Gareth Southgate? Maybe he's available. Pochettino. What do you think? What would you like to see?
Well, Klopp is always at everybody's top of their list, but with what he was gone through over the past 3-4 years over in England, the guy's just completely burned out. You could just see it in his face when he was finally able to just walk away from the Premier League and just say, hey, look, I'm done here. I think Southgate would be a great idea to come in. I think he's got that European brand of football. I think he's got the toughness level that the U.S. team, by and large, has been lacking. You've got a few guys that play tough. You got a bunch of guys that don't, and it's a function of where they play. Pulisic, although he's played in Serie A, which is a far less physical league than the Premier League, he still plays very hard in that league, and he's one of the tougher guys out there. And I think Southgate would bring that type of football while understanding the American mindset of soccer to the team.
What I think ultimately the next gaffer, if you will, to use a British term, needs to be somebody that's not U.S. born and bred. I think we would do quite well with a Gareth Southgate, who came darn close to the Euros 2 years in a row. He had a phenomenal run within the last World Cup. That experience, I think it stinks that he's not a part of England anymore, but he would be, to me, the most intriguing. But who knows? Pochettino's part of the conversation. There's just the U.S. could use and benefit and honestly unite under somebody like this. I know there's already angry supporters in there thinking that somebody's going to come to MLS, but I do agree in the sense that it has to be somebody international with experience. Yep. So that being said, Tim, why don't you take us to the finish line?
Dig it. Hey, look up, get us on Twitter, get us on Instagram, get us on all of your podcast channels. Go through the Empire Strykers, and you can get after it with us. Philly, all of our producers behind the scene, this has been fantastic. Thanks, everybody. And the podcast platforms, you can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on iHeartRadio. Go to all of those and get us taken care of. Apple, Soccer in 60. Rip.